welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy at the request of Patreon subscriber Jester's Cap, and this is Abhorrent Oculus Dimir Tempo. This is a brew challenge. Jester's Cap came to me and basically was like, Abhorrent Oculus is dope. I like cool Magic, even if it's slightly unoptimized. I'd rather get a good game after the match than a 5-0 and make it work. There are some additional wishlist items of having cool things to flip with Abhorrent Oculus. If you manifest a creature, you want your opponents off balance, wondering what that creature might be. Starting at the base level, this is just the Dimir Tempo core. The proven list, I have played quite a bit of this deck at this point. I have a MTG 050, a Steel City Spectacular top 8, a Buffalo Chicken Dip top 8, Dimir Tempo and we get each other. And then I cut the Murktide Regents for Abhorrent Oculi. There are spots where Oculus is more powerful than Murktide Regents. There are spots where it's much worse. For example, you must exile 6 spells to cast Abhorrent Oculus, or 6 cards. Murktide, you can get to 4 or 5 mana and exile 2 or 3 cards. You can change the size of it if you want to. The second one gets bigger. All those things. It costs 2 at baseline instead of 3 at baseline, assuming everything has gone right. However, Murktide doesn't go wide. If you're under pressure, like if you're at 5 and your opponent has a 6-7 Barrogoyf, you just have to block with your Murktide, where Abhorrent Oculus completely stabilizes that board by providing a bonus blocker every round. I think this is worse objectively if you're trying to win Eternal Weekend, but I think Jester's Cap knows that too, and we're just trying to showcase this cool card. The next box to check is what's in those manifested cards. How do we mix this up? Traditionally, Dimir Tempo plays a bunch of Bowmasters and Tamios, and that's about it. I've mixed up the hits here because if you have Orcish Bowmaster face down, your opponent has to think about that before they do something like cast Brainstorm. If you have Dauthi Voidwalker face down, your opponent has to think about that before they do something like cast Entomb. Baleful Strix and Barrogoyf face down are both Death Touch creatures. Your opponent has to think about that before they attack. The one Nethergoyf and the 3 Tamios, but Nethergoyf and Tamio both flip for very cheap. You turn the card face up for its mana cost, and flipping for 1, getting a 3/4, 4/5, pretty big creature in the middle of combat can create a different kind of problem, and it happens easier than the other things. Which means your opponent has to think about attacking into it if they've seen Nethergoyf, or think about bolting your manifests if you have 1 black available. This deck can also do a very cool thing of Kaito, Ninjutsu, picking up an attacking creature. The attacking creature could be a face-down Force of Will, and now you have Force of Will in your hand. If you've manifested a spell, normally that's just a 2/2, and it doesn't do anything from there, but if that creature ends up in your hand, the card is the card on the front, not the manifest. Kaito picking up Force of Will in combat, pretty sweet. Then in the sideboard, continuing this trend, I have 2 Hull Breachers, and this is because Jester's Cap specifically asked me to come up with a plan for Beans and Nadu, which are both prevalent in the local metagame. And the best way to beat Beans is don't let them draw more cards. Hull Breacher, I think Narset is better. Like, I would rather have Narset in my sideboard if my only goal was to have some sort of plan versus the Beans decks. However, with the Abhorrent Oculus going on, now we have Hull Breacher in the shell game of what's under that creature. Can I afford to cast Brainstorm? And I just thought that synergy was worth it. And there's just a little extra sauce in here. There is 1 Thought Scour and 1 Reanimate. This deck is, Dimir Tempo, is built at its base to have Tamio be able to buy spells back. It's built at its base to support Murktide Regent. We don't need a lot of dedicated self-mill, but 1 Thought Scour in the list can help you rebuild quickly. Like, there's a lot of main deck Nile spell bombs in the format. I'm playing 2 of them myself. Soul Guide Lanterns, Dauthi Voidwalkers, they're out there. If you need to rebuild your graveyard quickly, Thought Scour automatically gets you halfway to Abhorrent Oculus. There's also some fun other stuff in the format, like if you're paired against Doomsday, or your opponent surveils to the top of their deck, you can find some other spots for Thought Scour. And the one of Reanimate. If your Abhorrent Oculus gets discarded, milled, countered, dies. Getting it back for less than 3 mana and 6 cards is a good deal. Plus, you can snipe your opponent's stuff. We are a counterspell Thoughtseize deck as well. Maybe I'll borrow somebody's Archon of Cruelty or their own Balustrade Spy somewhere in this league. This was also a fun request from Jester's Cap to have just a little bit of this going on, and that's what I've done. I believe we've checked all of the request boxes. Let's go play some Dimir Oculus. I'm on the play in round 1 with a handful of sweet cards. I'm going to keep... I wish this Undercity Sewers was a Fetchlander and Underground Sea, but it's not disqualifying for the hand. Opponent kept 7. Polluted Delta on top. Easy money. Now I hope they do Waste Mill in me. Versus Tower, okay. We're against this. Oh, with Expedition Map. This is not Mystic Forge combo. This is some sort of big ramp deck. I think... So I have options here. I can Ponder and play Nethergoyf. I could just Wasteland. Wastelanding would set the Expedition Map back. The concern is if they already have Planar Nexus and get to do 4 mana worth of stuff next turn. Oh, I think Brainstorm's actually better than Ponder here because Nile Spellbomb is not an important card for the matchup. Okay, I'm going to Brainstorm. All right, Fatal Push and Nile Spellbomb look pretty bad for the matchup. That's nice. And I would like to start applying pressure. I'm trying to find a high value target for this Wasteland rather than just jamming it off on the first thing I see. I do play 4 of them, but the first one is very important. If I didn't have this force, I might have just Wastelanded because if they go like Planar Nexus 1 ring, I'm in the garbage. One of the concerns of waiting is, of course, if they have the Planar Nexus already, then they can just hold Expedition Map to get either Tower or Nexus. Whatever I waste, they can just grab the other thing and continue trotting me out. Where if I Wasteland, maybe they can't even activate Expedition Map for 2 turns. This is not a matchup I'm excited to see, I will say that. Just a second Tower and passing. That means that mapping for Planar Nexus is probably their plan. And they can have a fudge-zillion mana for 1 play, and then be back down to very little mana shortly after that. Parking this Wasteland in play. They will briefly have enough mana to cast Ugin, which I hope doesn't happen. As even if I force it, my Nethergoyf is in exile. Yep, Planar Nexus tutored, to the surprise of nobody. There it is. What's happening in the brief moment where they have access to 7 mana? Mystic Forge. I'm going to Wasteland now. If they want to float 3 and keep doing stuff, let's make them do it. Okay, now Mystic Forge is on the stack. That card is really good, but it is less good if they don't have mana to keep casting the artifacts, and they have 6 cards in hand already. What could the follow-up be from 3 mana? It could be Glaring Fleshraker that I'm not really ready for. All right, this is potentially reckless, but I am going to let the Forge resolve. Lotus Petal off the top of the deck. Got me immediately. Manifold Key. These have all been off the top of the deck, so I'm already back 2 cards, but they're not the cards that kill me, which was the gamble. I don't love that. Now Nethergoyf can be set down to 0 whenever they want it to. Brainstorm's gone from my graveyard. This is something that I'm working on figuring out myself, by the way. Like, when they have so many threats now, and you only have so many forces, like all of these colorless decks, when do you jam off on just the first thing they play, and when do you try to be discerning about which ones they have access to? All right, end step Bowmaster. I'm just trying to deal damage now. They did exile a Karn off the top of their deck to keep velocity going. Thoughtseize, let's go. That one's really good. Tell me your secrets. 1 ring, Kozilek's Command, 2 workshops, and they do have 3 Urzel hands. Gross. All right, so they'll have 3, 4, 5 mana next turn for sure. I think Kozilek's Command is the card I'm most worried about here. And then there's the age-old question of, should I Ponder and hope to find action plus blue card, or just leave Ponder as my blue card? I think I'm taking Kozilek's Command. And I will attack for 4. They could crack Spellbomb to make it 2, then I could fetch to make it 3. They're not using Ancient Tombs as mana. I don't think they're going to turn Soulguide Lantern into 1 life here. Yep. I agree with that decision. There's a shop. That's worth 3. 5 mana right now, plus Lotus Petal, 6 mana right now. 1 ring. I have to force that. Yeah, that card. With 2 keys in play, if they had 0 keys, I might think about trying to roll the dice on it, but not like this. They just immediately draw 6 cards, all of which make my Orc army larger, but then they have a whole turn to do whatever they want. Tamiyo is a little late to the party. Next turn, they'll have 9 mana at minimum. I took the full damage again. Tamiyo. And I'll pass. I'm pretty sure we lose the game here. Tamiyo can continue attacking under Ensnaring Bridge. So 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 mana. Oh yeah, it's way more than I thought because the towers see each other. 11 mana. Lattice doesn't beat me. Ensnaring Bridge buys a bunch of time. If they have like oh, alright, just Ugin from hand, sure. Alright, we're dead. These game ones are tough, but we got sideboard. And my sideboard here is pretty heavy. Null Rod, obviously, they're an artifact deck. Force, obviously, they're a force check deck. Consign, obvious. The Brazen Borrower, just resetting some permanent, like bouncing a Grim Monolith they're about to untap, or setting a ring back to 1, could be important. Plus it's blue, plus it's a flash threat. Childred's Edict, this deck is full of Planeswalkers at this point. They got Tezzerets, Karns, and Ugins. Hull Breacher's an interesting one. This is not on my normal sideboard map, which is, by the way, available on my Patreon for Dimir Tempo, because this card is not in Dimir Tempo. And cutting Bowmasters, or at least shaving Bowmasters, is part of the plan because it's not that important. If they have ring protection, Bowmaster doesn't do anything and it doesn't hit that hard. But stopping them from drawing the cards completely is very different than hurting them theoretically if they don't have protection while they draw cards. I think I'm a believer in Hull Breacher. I'm at least going to try it out. And, of course, it's blue for my 5 forces. Now let's try it. Okay, my hand is almost the dream. Thoughtseize into Null Rod, and you just hope you're still standing on turn 2. I will keep. This hand would be better with Force Blue card instead of these 2 extra lands, but, you know, we take what we can get. Opponent's on 7. Right, Grim Monolith, Karn, Lotus Petal, 1 ring. Ancient Tomb. So they have a turn 1 Karn or 1 ring. I think I take Karn here. I could take Grim Monolith and try to collapse the hand, but Karn is one of the things that functions under Null Rod anyway. They also do have Boseiju if they can access green mana at any point. I think I just let them have the ring, draw 1 card, and the Lotus Petal cost them a card. Alright, yeah, I'm just going to take Karn. And I'll pass. The ways that they get green or white mana for cards like Boseiju or Portable Hole are through Lotus Petals and Planar Nexuses. Okay. So they are playing around Null Rod here, which is smart, but it's still going to cost them their Lotus Petal and their Grim Monolith. Like, they'll just float green here, tap Grim Monolith, Rod me, or Boseiju my Rod, and then Petal's gone, Grim Monolith is tapped going into their next turn. Still bad news, though. That was a smart play to not go for it right away. And because of Ugin, I can't just try to dance around this. Like, if they cast Ugin, it's over. I think if I had a blue card to go with this Force of Negation, I would consider the pass play. That still doesn't get Boseiju committed, which is what I would need. Okay, they floated their mana. Now my decision is, do I get Undercity Sewer and don't bluff Consign? Or do I get Underground Sea and bluff Consign? And I think I have to get the Sewer, because my hand truly does not do anything from here. All right, Boseiju happens, of course. I'm going to get the Sewer. We're looking for a good card, not Underground Sea. And pass, I hope I get at least 1 turn here. We know 2 of the 3 cards in their hand. If they've got a key, they would need a land to go with that to get Underground. Oh, whoa. They're going to Kozilek's Command for 0 here. All right, so they have just a random card draw with their floating mana. Okay, so they would need a soul land to cast Ring, or key plus any land to cast Ring. That one doesn't do it. Bruh! All right. Well, they had key plus land, and they did use the Kozilek's Command to RNG their way into this, which was a smart play. They needed mana, and they didn't need Kozilek's Command, and here they are, rewarded for that line. Now I got to beat a 1 ring. Disappointing. Okay, well, My opponent played well twice on that turn. It feels like this game I had Thoughtseize Null Rod and just died, but that's not entirely true because they made real decisions along the way. Okay, Ponder could look for my other Null Rod or some Consigns and still hardcast Force of Negation, or I could try to get damage going with Bowmaster. I think I'd rather Ponder. Let's look for the goods. I am out of Underground Seas. They're all in play in my hand or in the graveyard. I have to fetch a basic island to cast my spells here. None of these are what I wanted. Nethergoyf, Fatal Push, Ponder. No thanks. Shuffle and Polluted Delta. All right, pass. They are tapping Ancient Tomb for mana, but they have Manifold Key as well. Can they cast Ugin this turn? Untap 3, 4, 5. It's close. Oh yeah, they're in there. We've got Ugin and one unknown. They can exactly cast Ugin right now. And that's not a card I can beat, so I will hold up my force. Ooh, they're passing. Okay, I am going to fetch in the end step. I'm not going to play the Bowmaster, because they're waiting for me to play Bowmaster so they can draw 5 cards over top of it. We're in their end step now, so they've given up the ability to play. Okay, play Ugin. Planar Nexus, wasting Planar Nexus, cuts Workshop down to 1 and makes Urza's Tower a bad draw. Workshop is on, though. Yeah, I think wasting Planar Nexus is where I want to be. I could also play Bowmaster and hold up Force if I want to do 2 things. They could untap Monolith with Key in the end step, or just pay 4 mana to do it. They're untapping Monolith. I'll use this opportunity to waste Planar Nexus. And I still can't beat Ugin. It would be weird if they don't tap the One Ring here. But I can't afford to Bowmaster. I'm just a mana or blue card short of making that play that I'd like to make. Yeah, there they go. And that should embolden them to do One Ring stuff going into their turn. Hullbreacher actually would have solved this problem. Get 2 treasures off of that ring tap, and then I can hardcast Force. Yep, here goes the ring, going nuts. But the cool thing about this is it means they won't play around Bowmaster, which may or may not matter. But if they get aggressive tapping this Ancient Tomb, tapping this ring, there might be an exploit here. Well, I can't counter that one. Yeah, they're starting to pass the turn. I'm just going to go to mine. We've got Underground Sea, and I'll pass. I would like for them to untap Ring and try to draw cards in the end step, and then I get a big blast and still have Force up going into their turn. That's a way that I might get out of this. They've played very well and calmly up to this point, though. Yep, didn't use their ring. They're at 10. There's a Saga. Now Workshop taps for 3. I could ambush this thing, but I think that's worse than ambushing the One Ring, though I am just losing on every metric at this point. I'm trying to tell the story that I don't have Bowmaster now. Mystic Forge. I won't really be able to beat that. If they cast Ugin here, I mean, with the Fleshraker, it's just bad news no matter what. So I'm going to counter that and hopefully get a snipe on this One Ring. And tapping Monolith. They might just be casting Ugin here. Karn, sure. They have exactly enough to lattice here. I'll take Key. So they're going for either more One Ring or more mana. So they could cast Ugin here or draw a Trillion with the ring. All right, well, there we go. If they have Kozilek's Command, this doesn't matter. All right, I'm going to target their face with the first ping, because if the ring resolves, I get 4 pings right away, but if I only get 1, then putting 1 damage on Fleshraker doesn't matter. And they didn't untap ring and draw more over top of the Bowmaster. It's in play now. Okay, yeah, they just have Kozilek's Command. All right, the game is over. GG's. Yeah, this is what it looks like when your draw is just a little anemic and your opponent plays well. My opponent had like 3 or 4 different spots to mess that game up horribly. Maybe the hero play was Thoughtseizing the Lotus Petal on turn 1. That both stops all the 4-drops in their hand and turns off green for Boseiju. Maybe I just didn't build out the package enough. I just assumed they would shove the One Ring if they had access to it, and maybe I just didn't give them enough credit. And Thoughtseizing Lotus Petal was the line. Cool game. It wasn't cool from like turn 3 and on, but turns 1 and 2 were very interesting how it developed. On to the next one. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in round 2 with a hand that is great against combo and bad against Wasteland. I am going to keep. Alright, Thought Sees You, don't show me a Wasteland. Show me Oops All Spells. Alright, well, it is the Dimir Tempo or maybe Reanimator. Pseudo Mirror. I think I want to take Thoughtseize and make them guess what I'm working towards. Just because they have Wasteland doesn't mean they're going to use it, though I am more and more convinced that is the right way to play Legacy right now. Yep. So many of these decks are operating on thin margins, and if they're not playing the game, then who cares? Alright, well, they made a good guess. You just can't mulligan these hands, though. I got lands in my deck. We'll find them. Or we'll die. Those are the choices. There's that Ponder. The extra rub-ins of it being a foil white border Wasteland. It's like, I want my cards to be ugly, but I did choose foil. Daze, right on time. Alright, I'm going to pass. Well, that Daze is actually... Like, when I find the island, that Daze is pretty solid. Alright, deck, this is the time. Shit. Okay, I'm passing. Right now, they don't know anything about my deck, except I have Underground Sea and Thoughtseize in it. Okay, cool. I'm going to force pitching probably Daze. Like, if I pitch Kaito, they know what they're up against. Kaito's also a good answer to Murktide, but I have Brazen Borrower. Alright, I guess it is Kaito. Force pitching Kaito. Hey, they didn't have the Daze or force to push back on that. They can just shove a Murktide here, which will be 6/6. Okay, I need to draw 2 lands in a row, and I need my opponent to not do anything in the meantime. Halfway there. I'm going to Thoughtseize them. That does affect the clock, but I really need them not to do more stuff, or else it doesn't matter what I draw. 2 Reanimates and a Brazen Borrower. Gross. Yeah, they could just reanimate the Brazen Borrower and add to the clock. I guess I take a Reanimate, but they can also just cast Brazen Borrower. I can Daze that one, though. Alright, kind of stupid, but I'll take one of the Reanimates. They also have the Undercity Sewers 4%er, where they just play that for their turn, hit Archon or Atraxa, and then cast Reanimate. Here we go. Kept the card. Alright, I gotta draw an untapped land right now. And we're actually playing the game okay, if that happens. They've not played around Daze with their Borrower. Oh no! My Reanimate. Okay, so if I Thought Scour them and hit a land, there's a high roll here. Thought Scour you. I hit a land, but I did not hit the payoff. Okay, so I can Daze the Brazen Borrower, and I'll be at 2. Alright. I'm not dead yet. I'm just very badly burnt. Daze this. I could Fatal Push this. That's probably better. I'd end up at 1. I could push it on the way back around, but not fast enough, because I'll be at 2, and they can reanimate it right away. That's tough. Abhorrent Oculus can block it, though, if I don't Daze. Or, no, that's not true, because I have to deal with the Murktide. I think I'm just 1 resource shy here in every direction. I did miss a land drop for 3 turns. That's not super surprising. Alright, I guess I'm a believer in Daze. I can Daze it now, fetch push it, go to 1 on their turn, go to my turn, bounce Murktide, and then figure it out from there. They Daze me back. Shit. Now I won't have... that sucks. Now I won't have Revolt. Yeah, that was a extremely heads-up Daze. And that Daze would have outright killed me next turn if they waited to hit the Brazen Borrower or the Fatal Push, but, I mean, sure. Get paid where you can, I guess. Kept the card on top with Sewer again. There's the Reanimate. We knew about that one. I don't think I'm drawing alive anymore. This is why we keep those hands, though. I'm going to lose this game, but I found a land. I missed my land drop twice, so I found my first land on turn 4, I think. And it still came down to 1 mana or 3 life. Like, if my land is just anywhere in the first 2 cards instead of the next one, or if I find... Or if they're just not a wasteland deck. Like, I didn't know the matchup when I kept the hand either. Gotta keep that in mind. All right, you got me. All right, game 2 is going to be a lot grindier. That's just how this matchup works out. They're going to bring in Barrowgoyfs and stuff. I'm going to bring in more answers to Barrowgoyf. I've got... You don't really want to be wastelanding them. It's not a big part of the plan. They don't have a lot to Fatal Push. We're bringing in better answers. This build of my deck just randomly has Dauthi Voidwalker in it. That's sweet. I got the one of Reanimate that almost came up that game. All right, let's go. I don't think this is a home for Hall Breacher, although it would be a funny blowout to get them with it. Okay, I will keep this. It's a little slow. It does not lose to Wasteland immediately. The Oculus could be a huge liability. Like, if they go Thoughtseize Reanimate, Oculus is a bad enough baddie to be a problem for me. And Thoughtseizing my Barrowgoyfs and reanimating them is part of the sideboard games. I'm drawing Polluted Delta this turn. I think I would like to brainstorm on mine. See if I find that Thoughtseize. Certainly get rid of at least one of these Oculi. Thoughtseize, Tamiyo, all good cards to hit. Ponder did not shuffle. I'm not going to fetch a basic here, so I'll lead on Misty. I don't want Brainstorm to be dazed. Okay, suddenly I have so many lands that maybe the Oculi are fine. Underground Sea, one of the Oculi, but one of them pitches to Force. Okay, fine. I guess I'm keeping all of the eyeballs, even though I don't want any of them. If they waste me, I can just not fetch and draw a land and replace it. If they don't waste me, I will fetch, though. Underground Sea. Okay, they're passing. I'm going to fetch Underground Sea in my upkeep. Got that. And another Brainstorm. They could have Orcish Bowmaster. I do have Fatal Push for that thing. I am not going to wasteland them, even if I draw it. I'll play around Daze. All right, Fat Grip of Bowmasters, a card that is medium. Dauthi Voidwalker, a card that is very good. Do I want to turn on Daze is the question. I'm pretty far away from even the first Oculus, so I think I'm going to go Oculus Bowmaster on top. And I think what I want to do here is just pass and play Voidwalker around Daze next turn. Blooded Strand from the opponent. Thoughtseize, not the card I wanted to see. I could force it. All right, this feels bad, but that card is very important, and I don't want them to see my grip full of dope creatures. And they can't Entomb Reanimate on this board because they fetched Basic Island. All right, there's another Bowmaster on top of my deck. I could start a fight in the end step. I think I just want to fetch, though. I don't want my Bowmaster to get Bowmastered. Though if I successfully pull this off, Kaito can be part of the game. But if I fail to pull this off, yeah, I'm not interested in going for that. Cool, rewarded. All right, Voidwalker. This one requires immediate attention. Okay, they're going to Surveil in response. One last eye roll. Dumped an Underground Sea. And we're in. Okay. I border out a Force because I generally don't like making exchanges like that in this matchup, and I've drawn 2 of them this game. They're not bad, like, it is fine. All right, I'm gonna float a black. That's just in case they play sloppy. Like, they can just change phases and it doesn't matter what color I float, so there's some thought of floating blue instead of black, so maybe they think about Spell Pierce instead of Fatal Push. Okay, here's this guy. I think this is a forcible. As long as Voidwalker's in play, I don't care about the Reanimator plan. And because... Alright, Daze, sure. Alright, well, I got a bunch of stuff in the Void. I just need to draw a fetch land. And we're good. Very Macabre. You're a little late to this party. I'm gonna Bowmaster now. Pre-combat. There's a Daze in the Void if we need to have a fight. Right, shoot you with that. And my plan is to just block for a little while. Attack. I could also sack Voidwalker, get Wasteland, use the Voidwalker or the Wasteland as Revolt for Fatal Push. I don't think I'm in a hurry to do those things. They've got an Underground Sea in their hand and just played Polluted Delta. The life gain matters. Anything they mill and don't take ends up in the void, which is interesting. Like, they do get to pick a creature. Yeah, I just don't think I can afford them to hit a Bowmaster of their own or a second Barrowgoyf or anything like that here. All right, Fatal Push, my Void Walker. Sad. Glad I blocked, though. That would have been bad. Okay, they're doing something here. Making big moves in the middle of combat. Reanimating my Void Walker. I don't really want you to have that. I'll exile Void Walker and my opponent's Ponder, I guess. Is there any... I think Ponder is the only sorcery. Our Reanimate's about to be there. All right. Oh no, there's a Thoughtseize right there. All right, sure. Void Walker and Ponder are gone. That's a fizzle. We're a fetch land or a wasteland away from stability here. Or this one. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature of their choice. Okay. Back to stability, but now their Reanimates can target Barrowgoyf. Also, if they just have Entomb Reanimate in their hand, that works. Capped a card on top. Got your own Voidwalker, sure. I've got my own Barrowgoyf. Push your Voidwalker. Attack. Find out what that card they kept on top is. Reanimate's good here. Barrowgoyf's good here. There's a lot of good cards here. Yeah, Reanimate Barrowgoyf. Now I need a land for my own Goyf. Alright. We're back. And this is what these sideboard games look like. It's just a dirty exchanging cards slugfest with little value Reanimates hitting the 2 and 3 drops. Oh, that's huge. Now I don't have to block with my Barrowgoyf. I get an Orc Army. That's nice. I get if they find a removal spell, then it's better to just attack the Orc Army, but I guess like if we just trade off here, that's not great for them. It looks like they're casting a Murktide Regent based on how this mana tapped. Yep. Still full size despite me exiling the Ponder earlier. They found enough spells. All right, deck. Brazen Borrower? Ponder. That could be anything, even Brazen Borrower. Thoughtseize, Ponder, Tamiyo. I mean, Tamiyo is nasty. Do I have time to figure this out? I can take 8 from Murktide. There's a Sheoldred's Edict in my graveyard. Tamiyo, play it now. Attack, Clue, Ponder. I could go to 1. Alright, I will try my luck with that girl Tamiyo. I can also gain 3 life from Barrowgoyf whenever I want. Or 4 life. I can just attack with it right now. They would trade theirs for mine. I have extra life to figure out this Murktide situation. I think I want to be on defense, though. At least for this turn. Maybe next turn I'll want the life cushion for Tamiyo to figure it out. Voidwalker. Okay. That gives them a Barrowgoyf if they attack with theirs. Except it doesn't because I would block with Orc Army. Alright, I'm at 8. I got a few problems to solve here, but I got tools to do it. Okay, Ponder. Start with that. I know there's a Thoughtseize on top of my deck that I don't want. Alright, a big pile of garbage. Shuffle it away. More garbage. But it's not the most garbage I've ever seen. Alright, I'm going to fetch, which puts me dead to Murktide even through Tamiyo bubble. But I think this is necessary to do. And I'm going to attack with Barrowgoyf and Tamiyo. I need the life bubble here. I'll crack the Clue before blocks. In case I hit Fatal Push. Brazen Borrower just a little late. Okay, they want to trade Goyfs with me. I'm at 11. I plus Tamiyo. They can attack me for 9. And kill Tamiyo, unfortunately. But now I can answer the Murktide. And whether they use Voidwalker as an aggressive source of damage here or to cash it in for a Barrowgoyf, oh, come on. Alright, the old turn 10 Thoughtseize, finding its target like a boss. Yeah, that was as good as that could be. They are going straight into the Voidwalker. Casting a Barrowgoyf. Probably just going to kill Tamiyo with this Murktide here. Yep, she's gone. Right, deck, how about that other Brazen Borrower? Oh, wow. The fun of Baleful Strix. Are you my hero? Are we going to turn it around right now with Baleful Strix? Oh my god. That was big. Fatal Push, great draw. The board is stable. If they attack with Murktide, I kill the Barrowgoyf too by getting Revolt. Thoughtseize, you psycho. Alright. I'll push the Barrowgoyf, just in case anything weird happens here. This doesn't work, But like if they, I don't know, fatal push my Strix in response, it's suddenly on. Obviously, it doesn't matter. Mostly just goofing. All right, well, that was, once again, finding insane hits for Thoughtseize on turn 10 and 11 is so sick. All right, well, I guess I'm going to chump with Orc Army, because Murktide is a bigger problem than Barrogoyf, though they're both problems. But I can tread water versus Barrogoyf. If the Strix goes, I'm just dead in 2 hits. All right, Brainstorm, find me the goods. Please don't have Orcish Bowmaster as your last card in hand. Those are almost, or no, those are the goods, because that's my Barrogoyf. All right, I am going to pass. And I guess I want to Petty Theft the Barrogoyf in their upkeep. All right, I've got my Barrogoyf back, and now I have Brazen Borrower in exile. Brainstorm, just emergency meeting into this Orcish Bowmaster. Got to do what you got to do. 14 life, you got an 8/8. These aren't the problems of our age. Okay, ping, pong, pang. 3 pings from Bowmaster, all go to the face. Did they draw an answer to Baleful Strix? If they did, this game is still theirs to win. Yup. All right. All right, so I've lost. I can chump block with Brazen Borrower for 1 turn, but I know my next 2 draws are Wasteland. Can I tempo this out? I don't think so. I attack for 4, I block, I attack for 4, then I die. And I can't afford to deploy the lifelink creature in the meantime. Attack. I'm going to Wasteland now so I don't turn on a Fatal Push for them. I need them to panic and cast another Brainstorm or something that is unlikely to happen. What a slugfest, though. And I had to force on turns like 2 and 3, and here on turn 13, I'm just 1 card short after spending 2 cards to answer 2 of their cards earlier. Maybe if I just let that first Thoughtseize resolve, I win this game. It's hard to know, like, going back into the ancient history to try to figure out where, like, what made sense on turn 3 now costing you on turn 13. But I spent 2 cards on 2 of their cards, and they never spent 2 cards on any of mine. And at the end, they're just 1 card ahead of me in an otherwise pretty competitive game. Another good match that we just barely lost. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the play in round 3 versus a Yorion strategy. I'm going to keep my hand. Yorion Taxes, kind of making moves in the metagame again. That deck was gone for a long time, but it's put up some recent big results. Oh no, it's the Yorion Cloudpost deck, even better. Okay, this one has been showing up in the deck dumps, and it's pretty exciting. Undercity Sewer, Wasteland's one of my most important cards here. Can I afford to skip on a land? I don't think I can. All right, put that on top. All right, suddenly now understanding that my opponent's deck is not about creatures at all, my hand looks pretty bad. Planar Nexus, straight into 3 mana with Cloudpost. Okay, now I can do stuff. I have Brazen Borrower as Brazen Borrower to set up Kaito. 2 Planar Nexus, this is now 5 mana. The One Ring is not a card I want to play against. I'm going to force pitching Oculus. All right, that's gone. I do not feel confident in my position. I gotta hope that their 80 card deck creates a little bit of awkwardness. Brazen Borrower as Brazen Borrower. We're going in. Wasteland? Okay, I'm gonna Kaito, and then that gives me 3 more looks at Wasteland. Brazen Borrower's gone, Kaito's coming in. I'm gonna Surveil 2 and draw a card. Show me 3 Wastelands. All right, Bowmaster Daze, Graveyard, Graveyard. Underground Sea. I could reanimate this Bowmaster, but I think Ponder's better. Looking for Wastelands and Force of Wills to make the game go longer. Okay, there's a Force. I will draw that, then Nethergorf's on top of my deck, then Kaito can surveil away that land, looking for more action. A 3rd Planar Nexus. a second One Ring, a second Force. Okay, they have the Force back this time. Pitching Lorien revealed. Reanimating Bowmaster suddenly looks more tempting. They will unfortunately not lose any life on my turn, which makes Kaito quite a bit worse. It's just Surveil 2. I could Emblem and try to push damage on future turns. I could also reanimate Bowmaster. If they force, then they do lose life on my turn. Alright, I'm going to reanimate Bowmaster. Or should I play Nethergoyf first? It saves me 1 life to play Nethergoyf first. Alright, Nethergoyf. Because Bowmaster can't ping my opponent. What's going on here? Dress down. Okay, so Kaito is going to lose all his abilities, except the ability that makes him a creature. Alright. Nethergoyf's a 0-1. Reanimate Bowmaster. Now I don't have to ping anything. Okay. A little awkward I lose out on a Planeswalker activation there, which means I have to draw that land on top of my deck. Yeah, I was not playing around Dress Down. I'm not going to lie. All right, One Ring. Bowmaster, get to work. Opponent is trying to stabilize their mana before a Wasteland can take out more than half of it. All right, playing their land before playing Expedition Map is interesting. All right, upkeep. What are we doing? Giant Kozilek's Command or some shit? All right, so they're taking out Bowmaster and making a bunch of spawns. Drawing a land. And attack my opponent with everything. They'll probably block everything. They're at 18 life. I don't think embleming Kaito is where I want to be. All right, they're making mana off the spawns. This might beat a map. Yep, there it goes. That Dress Down was actually pretty devastating. Okay, Surveil 2. Look at Delta to the graveyard. I think I want to keep Brainstorm. And I'll play this island, make them think about Hardcast Force of Will. There's a Cloud Post in their hand. I also think it's pretty clear they drew that Kozilek's Command off of the One Ring last turn because they took that hit from Bowmaster that they wouldn't have needed to otherwise. Stock up. Here we go. This deck is awesome. Like, it's weird to play against 2 Cloud Post decks in the same. Maybe the first one wasn't a Cloud Post deck. Maybe it was just a Forge deck playing Expedition Map. But Expedition Map, Planar Nexus, they're here in the format. Get used to it. And we're past the window now where Wasteland's helpful. There was like 3 or 4 turns where hitting this Cloud Post would have been really important. Now it doesn't matter. I don't think my opponent played a land this turn. They have a Cloud Post in hand. Interesting. Okay, I'm drawing Brainstorm here. I would like to attack first. Spending a bunch of mana, one of it's blue. A Dress Down here matters less than last time. I still get to attack for a bunch. They're mapping with their extra floating mana. Glimmer Posts at this point are just like gain 6, gain 7, crazy advantage. Overcoming my aggression, overcoming the One Ring. I have Ugin. Alright, well, we're in the end game now. Attacking with Nethergoyf doesn't matter. I'll attack with the 2 creatures that have stats. Okay, Brainstorm. There's a lot of Fatal Pushes. I'll get rid of them. Tameo, right on time. And I'm all in. Here's my land. I'll even fetch. I'm not hiding anything here. Underground Sea, F6, have fun. I've presented my clock. It's all I could do. The one thing I really could have done differently this game was 0 Kaito immediately, the turn that I ended up having to draw this island. Not playing that other Cloud Post last turn is a big deal right now, though, because instead of immediate... I have Ugin plus Eldrazi immediately. Now they might have to break it up. Glimmer Post, gaining 1 million life. Okay, they've got Cloud Post and I have Ugin in hand, and it's not even their best play. It's terrifying. All right, they might just have Emrakul. Oh, they're a little mana short on Emrakul. It's a blue spell. Portent of Calamity, hell yeah. Reveal the top X cards of your library. For each card to be among them, you may exile a card of that type, put the rest into your graveyard. You may cast a spell from among the exiled cards without paying mana costs if 4 or more cards are exiled this way. Then put the rest of the exiled cards into your hand. This is one I've had to read a few times for like Cube and stuff. It's crazy. But basically, you draw cards equal to the Delirium you reveal. It's in Atraxa, but then if you have 4 or more card types among them, you get one of them for free. And there is an Emrakul among them with Artifact Land. Yeah, okay. I get it. You win. You win. Oh, this league. Okay. Consign to Memory is good. All Breacher's interesting. Again, it's that, you know, how worried about specifically the One Ring am I supposed to be. Fatal Push and Nile Spellbomb both look pretty bad. I've got a lot of stuff I can replace here. I think I like the things that do damage, and I like the things that counter spells. Null Rod hits the Ring and Expedition map. Baleful Strix seems pretty mid. The cheeky reanimate stuff, I'm off it. Just give me a Barrogoyf. Daze seems horrendous. That gives me Brazen Borrower and a Sheoldred's Edict. Pretty big switch here. I have no mana to play the game. I have to mulligan this one. Where were these two Wastelands last time? Though, let's talk about this. There are 14 mana sources in my deck, which means slightly more than a quarter of my draws are that. Wasting their first 2 lands could put them pretty far behind. No, I'm gonna mulligan, though. It is tempting versus this deck. All right, rewarded. The Magic Gods saw my discipline and said, okay, you can still have 2 Wastelands. I think 1 Wasteland would have won the last game in the first 4 or 5 turns. I'm gonna bottom Oculus. This card has been pretty far from being cast in every situation so far, unfortunately. Basic Island. All right, I'm glad I didn't keep the double Wastelander. Misty Rainforest, great. That lets me brainstorm with the shuffle. Planar Nexus. All right, end step Brainstorm. That's a lot of cards I don't need. I'm going to put back 2 Underground Seas and then fetch Undercity Sewer. Sewer. Barrogoyf. I would like Barrogoyf. I think I'm going to play Wasteland and pass this turn. Got this Hull Breacher in the mix. This does give them the opportunity to go like Tower Shove. Ancient Tomb. All right. The One Ring resolves. All right. Do you have Force of Will? Please don't. I hate Magic. If I just Wasteland, this doesn't happen, but you know, the classic. Please don't have exactly 1 card. But they do. Okay. Barrogoyf. And I'm going to Wasteland the Nexus now. There's so much potential mana in their deck that Nexus represents that I still think wasting the air quotes 1 mana land is better than the 2 mana land that's showing. Planar Nexus again from hand. They cannot Kozilek's Command Barrogoyf this turn. They can make blockers with Kozilek's Command. They can also dress down. All right, that happens. Ooh. Oh, right, dress down. Doesn't matter. Thought sees you. Force of Negation, stock up Ulamog. Cloud Post, Glimmer Post, Glimmer Post, Island. It's got to be stock up. Right, stock up's gone. Play Tameo. Do I care about Planar Nexus yet? I think I'm more worried about Cloud Post. No, I am going to go after the Nexus. Because they got Urza's Towers in their deck. Ring draws 3. There's the Cloud Post. They have to discard 2 to hand size here. That Force of Negation could snag my Brainstorm and stop Tameo from flipping. It's kind of a weird little thing going on here. Glimmer Post and Ancient Tomb discarded. Sheoldred's Edict. That could deal with a Ulamog. A Barrogoyf trigger on the stack. I'm going to Brainstorm now. This way I can clear the cards if I don't like them. Oh, good news. I like them all. I'm going to put back Bowmaster and... Our Bowmaster's almost lethal here. Is Bowmaster better than Wasteland? Is that possible? All right, I do end up with the Bowmaster anyway here. Okay, Bowmaster, Ponder on top. Tameo flips. Barrogoyf mills. I pick up Bowmaster. And I think I want to Wasteland the Cloud Post. Well, I want to plus Tameo. Yeah, I think having Consigned to Memory up is worth more than the damage off the Bowmaster, because they're dead anyway. Yeah, I have them dead anyway. I just need to survive this turn. Ring draws 4, 12 cards in hand, 3 mana to cast them with. I know they can gain 1 life with Glimmer Post, which might actually... No, because they still have a ring in play. Glimmer Post might stop them from dying, literally dying on my turn, but they die to their own ring. Post up to 7. A replacement ring is what they're looking for here. I have the consign for it. So they need Force of Will here. We know they have Force of Negation. Cool. All right. We did it. Barely. Yeah, Daze seems like a big mistake, though because I drew 3 Wastelands that game, my opponent was frequently tapping out. Yeah, I'm not going to get fooled by that. I want to give myself a chance to win any sort of medium length game rather than hope everything goes right in the early game. Seeing Ulamog means that Reanimate has some action, but I don't think it's good enough. All right, yeah, this is my deck. Let's go. Oh no. The triple Oculus hand. I will be mulling this. This hand doesn't do anything. It Thought Scours itself, but the thing I'd like to Thought Scour is in my hand, and Reanimate is in my sideboard, so pointless. Mulligan that. Okay. This hand I like. I'm going to keep in bottom Brazen Borrower. So Borrower's blue card. Do I value the pressure of Nethergoyf? I think I do. Yeah, I'm going to bottom Borrower. Because I need to make them react. I need to make them do something by applying pressure somehow. And Nethergoyf is the one that does that. I am not going to Wasteland yet. Underground Sea, I like that. Okay, my mana's set up. I can add Tamiyo and waste them next turn. I can force if they shove something powerful this turn. Ancient Tomb is there. Okay, Tamiyo versus Nethergoyf. I could Tamiyo Brainstorm right now. Is that crazy? If I hit the blue card, it feels good. This plays directly into Kozilek's command, though. Yeah, I'm going to Wasteland the Planar Nexus. I still value the damage that would be done by their Ancient Tomb. All right, change phases. Looks like I successfully played around this card. Somebody give me a medal for playing around the most obvious card they could have. I deserve it. Get this card to the bottom. And I think I do want Tamiyo more than I want Nethergoyf here. I hope I don't get tested with a Force of Will this turn, but they are at the critical 4 mana where the One Ring happens. Cool, they didn't do anything. Underground Sea, move to combat. I've replaced my blue card now. And I can do 2 things this turn. I can play Brainstorm and Nethergoyf. All right, that sounds good. Nice. All right. I think I want Verdant Catacombs Barrowgoyf to go back. I kind of do want to draw through these cards. Catacombs Barrowgoyf plus Tamiyo. Play a threat. Okay, we're doing something. We've got some traction here. End step Dress Down. All right. That means their spawn doesn't work on their turn, but also Nethergoyf is a 0/1. Does this deck have a Dreadnought pivot? That would be sick. I don't actually know. I know this deck exists, but I have not studied this, I'll be honest. Interesting they had that Dress Down and didn't want to stop Tamiyo from flipping. The One Ring. I'm going to force pitching Kaito, because I could have another force with Tamiyo picking up Brainstorm next turn. Like, this is at least something I can do. All right, they had the force pitching Lorien. You've got your One Ring. I'm drawing Barrowgoyf this turn. I think I actually should have stacked this the other way with the Verdant Catacombs in my hand and the island underneath. Tamiyo, pick up Brainstorm. Play Barrowgoyf. And I'm just going to try to blast their head off starting next turn. I'm going to attack with Nethergoyf, see if they block. I know they have ring protection. Maybe they'll forget and try to air quote save 2 damage. Nope. All right. Worth a shot. I made that play in paper at the Buffalo Chicken Dip tournament, and my opponent was like, okay, take 0. Like, talking to me like I'm stupid. It's like, I don't know, man. You had the chance to block. I had to give you a chance to mess up. Cost me nothing. Our opponent's got 5 cards in hand, that number escalating quickly. Ancient Tomb is 2/3 of their mana. That's great. Disruptor Flute, this is probably going to name Force of Will, but forcing it's the same as letting it resolve. Maybe they just named Tamiyo or something. All right, cool. They did name Tamiyo. That is secondary to what's actually going on in this game right now, which is I'm hitting them with a bunch of Goyfs. I think I want to crack my clue before I do anything else, and then attack with my creatures. We will probably see a block on Barrowgoyf. Dress Down. Yeah, this is just fog. Sure, you can fog me. Force of Will's got more important things to do than that. And I'm going to hold on to this Brainstorm. It is a blue card. They're at 6 with all these Ancient Tombs going. They don't have any Locusts in play to gain life off Glimmer Post with. Like, it counts itself, but that's not that good. Just got to hope that the deck, all the air in the deck catches up with them here. Glimmer Post gains 1. They're up to 7. They're at 5. I think this is forcible. Or I have a deck full of consigns. I'm going to Brainstorm, actually, and try to Miracle Spike this. I got consigns. I got other blue cards. I don't want to lose out on Brainstorm if I don't have to. Okay, put the lands back, and I'll pitch Abhorrent Oculus now. That did improve my hand dramatically. All right, it let them Flusterstorm me, though. Okay. You've got a new One Ring. That one draws a card. They have Ring Protection, which means this Ancient Tomb can tap without hurting them this turn. I'm going to fetch in my upkeep. Big draws. Consign to Memory. Oh no, only 5 cards in my graveyard. All right, Abhorrent Oculus. You almost had a chance to function. All right, I'll add an unblockable creature to the board. Oculus actually would have been insane here. There's no attacks to be had, and I think they know. They've demonstrated that they know how their One Ring works. They're at 4, which means only one of these Ancient Tombs can be tapped this turn, unless they have another Glimmer Post to buffer their life a little. They need something big, like an Ugin or an All Is Dust. I don't even know if they could cast those cards. Urza's Tower was the land for turn. That's good news. Do we have a third One Ring? They're a blue short of getting Yorion and flicking the One Ring, but that doesn't give them protection anyway. That's only if you cast it. That's fine. They are dead on board to Dothi Voidwalker. Dress Down, uniquely suited to beat up on Tarmogoyfs. I think if this Nethergoyf was just like Dragon's Rage Channeler or anything, Emperor of Bones, Deep Cavern Bat, like any card that just has natural stats, they would be dead already. Repealing the little guy. Okay, so they're trying to hit another hit here. They could have paid more to bounce the big guys, and they just got nothing. Okay, cool. Despite having 2 One Rings in every game, they did eventually succumb to the inconsistency of an 80 card, mostly colorless deck. They drew a zillion cards and they weren't enough. Just putting stats on the board gets it done. We're on the board. Abhorrent Oculus almost had a moment to shine there. Hopefully it comes into play before this league is over. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables. I'm on the draw in round 4 against Morsa, who I've been playing against a lot lately, member of the BoshNRoll community, a brewer. I'm going to keep my hand. Force of Will and Fatal Push and Wasteland kind of cover the 3 things that could happen to me here. Are they combo? Are they creatures? Are they big mana? Oh, you sick monster. I hope this is a brew. If I find one of my community members in the wild playing Oops All Spells, I'm going to be berserk. All right, waste that. I hope that's important. Maybe round 2. Okay, cool. It's not Oops All Spells. We're doing something at least vaguely honest. Not that Fel the Profane is generally in honest decks anyway. I'm going to play Sewers here and keep double force, double blue card available. I don't want this swamp. Wasteland, sure. All right, looks like we're against a fair deck that has just chosen to play Fel the Profane in it. Figuring this one out on the fly. It's going to be fun. Ponder. Another, I don't think I need a third Force of Will basically ever in life. I'll bank the Ponder, float Bowmaster on top. This lets me keep doing stuff. If there's a second Wasteland involved, I could fetch away the Force, Ponder, look for my land. Raucous Theater, dumped Molten Collapse. Badlands. All right, yeah, looks like Rakdos magic cards are what we're up against here. Now I have the option of respecting their Bowmaster. I guess I get to do that anyway. Yeah, I'm just going to cast Ponder, and then I could Fatal Push a Bowmaster if they play it. Oh my goodness. What a surprising card. Underground Sea, Fatal Push this thing. They can't daze me. There was only Badlandses in play of various varieties. Okay, this might be more of this than I want, but I'd rather draw 2 lands in a row and shuffle away the third than Wasteland and not play the game. Barrogoyf. I'm not ready for that, so I'm going to force pitching Thought Scour. And like we talked about in the Reanimator matchup, I just spent 2 cards answering 1 card, which will eventually be a problem. Yeah, I'm going to Brainstorm. Underground Sea and Polluted Delta can go away. I'm just going to pass here. I do still have a basic island in my deck. I surveilled away the swamp. Just wondering if this is going to be a Blood Moon strategy. Ancient Tomb. All right, we're stomping. Oh no! I wasn't ready. I just shuffled away my extra blue card. All right, 1 ring. Pretty serious problem. Please don't have Fatal Push right now. All right, deal 1 to you. Now if you tap the ring, your Orc army dies. I at least get something on the way through here without having to ping my own face. All right, this is starting to get ugly. Oh, the Oculus! Is it your time to shine? My boy, my beautiful son. Okay. What card could they cast that's scarier than the One Ring? This could be some sort of sneak attack deck. It could just be Rakdos Stompy, which would explain the Felder Propane, like just some Chrome Moxen in this deck. I think I'd rather Oculus. All right, there it is. Abhorrent Oculus. If there's a matchup where it's good, it's something like this. All right, can we manifest? All right, we're getting at least 1 manifest in. Opponent Shuldras Edicting. Yeah, you got to do it now. Would I rather have Bowmaster or Oculus? I think I would rather have Oculus in play. All right, smell you later, Bowmaster. All right, I'm going to put Force of Will as the manifest and Daze in the graveyard. But if I draw Kaito, I can pick that up. And now we're just in a slugfest. My opponent has jillions more cards than I do, but I have a 5/5 machine. And I have Push Wasteland still available that can fend off a creature or 2. It's really, can they answer Abhorrent Oculus right now or not? Like, Pyrogoyf's really bad. All right, replacement 1 ring. They're scrambling over there. I'll take it. I'll take it. Land and blue card are both good draws for me. Okay, blue card. I think this is better as a blue card than it is as a Tameo. I'm just going to pass. Abhorrent Oculus, carry the day, please. And I could manifest a Bowmaster here. Oh, Kaito. No. All right, well, Kaito's gone. You can't turn this up because if it's face down, the game won't recognize it as a creature. So I've just got a cheeky little 5/6 under there. And there's that 1 mana massive manifest wake up that I was talking about in the deck tech. Like if they do something like Fury or Broadside Bombardiers or Lightning Bolt, they're not going to be able to kill this creature. All right, Pyrogoyf. It's ready to fight this one. 7 cards still in hand over there. Chrome Mox. I think the tightest play would have been Wastelanding in their upkeep. That covers the most bases. Ooh, Cavern of Souls. All right. At least there's only 1 Goyf hitting me and not 2. All right, this is a 6/7. It is definitely going to go after Abhorrent Oculus. All right, Oculus cooked. If Fatal Push, turn face up, kill you. Push your Goyf. Wake up this Goyf. Lethal Beagle. I have exactly lethal on board, plus their rings over there. That's another 2. Boom! All right, finally Abhorrent Oculus showed up and almost certainly won that game for me. Hydroblast good. Consign to Memory, medium but probably good. Shuldras Edict very good. Brazen Borrower good. Barrogoyf good. Daze, get out of here. Nile Spellbomb, get out of here. Thoughtseize is interesting against any kind of stompy deck, because if you have it on the first turn or 2 before they start dropping their haymakers, you could really collapse their hand. But if you draw it later than that, it's garbage. All right, I think Dothy Voidwalker doesn't matter. I like blue cards, forces. Seeing that Cavern of Souls is a little scary. Should probably presume there are access to moons in their deck, whether they be of the Blood or Magi version. They could bring in Graveyard Hate, having seen Oculus. Yeah, Consign to Memory is excellent versus One Ring and fine versus Pyrogoyf. Yeah, I think I'm just going to zero Thoughtseize this, play to the board. All Breacher does also punish the One Ring, but that's only one aspect of their deck. Yeah, I'm going to just do it like this. I like my hand. That one of Nethergoyf showing up strong. Raucous Theater. Dump to One Ring, terrifying. So they already have a One Ring, or they're desperate for mana. Those are the 2 ways to read that. Yeah, I could fetch and play Nethergoyf. I think I'd rather invest the Sewer. I like Ponder. That gives me a blue card for Force or a sorcery for Nethergoyf. Either one is pretty decent. Dauthi Voidwalker, I'm ready for you. I could fetch Swamp here. That burns my Catacomb into the Void, but does make it so I can play through a Moon Magus. Alright, I'm going to Edict this thing off of a basic Swamp. Alright, non-token creature, your choice is gone. I have a reanimate target now. Knowing Cavern of Souls is in their deck, I can't rely on this Force of Will entirely. Wasteland's fine. Unlicensed Hearse. Annoying, but okay. Alright, Tamiyo, you're up. Reanimate, you suck now. Nethergoyf, you suck too. Alright, Tamiyo. Try to solo this game. Oh wait, my opponent tapped out of their thing on their turn. I'm just going to reanimate now while I can. Give me that. Sweet. I don't know why they tapped the Hearse so aggressively. There's nothing I can do with exactly 2 things in the graveyard from this position. Molten Collapse. I guess I'd rather have Force in hand. That was already a 2-for-1. I'll take it. It was a 1-for-1. The card I reanimated was theirs, but it was already in the graveyard. I didn't mind control it. They just traded Mind Collapse for reanimate. There we go. Tamiyo, go in. The Tamiyo is restricted here because of the Hearse. Basically, plus to the moon is what we get out of her. Nethergoyf is garbage. Barrowgoyf's not good either. Yeah, I guess I'm just tucking all of the creatures away and trying to ride Tamiyo to ultimate. I have to be aware of the Hearse. Any random creature they play could just crew that into a 4/4 and start pressuring my Planeswalker. The card Pyroblast I have to think about here. Okay, they've missed a land drop. That's good for me. I'm going to fetch in my upkeep. I'm not going to tap out of Hydro and let them Pyro my Tamiyo. This is Protect the Queen mode. Got a threat now. And also, importantly, 2 blockers. If they do sneak something through just long enough to crew the Hearse, at least Tamiyo doesn't die on the spot. Long goodbye, Uyuk. Alright, well, can't counter that one. Bonus got a plan over there. The uncounterable theme deck. Wasteland. Yeah, I think they need the mana more than I do right now, or more than they need me to not have mana. And that's why they milled the ring on turn 1. Beastorm. Consign to Memory. I like that. Can I hit some more land drops? All right, you get that. I get this. Trade them back and forth. Big turn, especially find Basic Island would be nice. Literally Basic Island on top of my deck. Would I rather waste them? They've been struggling really hard here. Kaito rules. I think I'd rather wasteland them. Take out your red source. Okay. I'm drawing Island next turn and Kaito the turn after that. Unlicensed Hearse is fudge-normous. Oh, Badlands, good draw. Barrowgoyf. I'm going to force that pitching Brainstorm. I'm just keeping my answers in hand because I know what my next 2 draws are. Right, Island. I'm going to attack with Orc Army and see if they play around Kaito. Did not play around Kaito. That's good information for next turn. Chrome Mox. Okay, that's not Cavern of Souls, and there will only be 1 card left in their hand. If they do that, pitching Molten Collapse, awesome for them. Ka-chow! Get rid of that. And now it's Kaito's time to shine. I'm not going to attack with Bowmaster. I like it as a blocker, and my opponent's already shown me they're not willing to... Okay, they suddenly care about Kaito. Cool. That's probably smart, but now I get to pick up Bowmaster and refire it next turn. I could have even just cast Kaito there, but I think the Hydroblast is pretty good. Okay, if they have their own Bowmaster here, I don't love that. I'm going to waste their Badlands. Keep them in the garbage. Bowmaster in. Kaito. I'm going to leave up the basic island so they can't waste me off interaction on their turn. And I'll begin the surveilling. I like these top. Oh, right, I wasted this turn. I guess I didn't want the blue to Delta. That was a little sloppy. Okay. Sheoldred's Edict. Sacrificing a Planeswalker. They chose the correct thing. Alright, well, I'm going to force this. It's about getting the game over at this point. I could plus Kaito for more damage, but Kaito will do enough damage as long as my cards stay relevant. I can bounce the Unlicensed Hearse if I have reason to do that. Misty Rainforest to the graveyard, Bowmaster to my hand. And pass. I've got a mountain of Bowmasters here. I'll master those bows. I could Petty Theft the Chrome Mox. That actually sounds insane. I'm doing that. Because I can also just play Brazen Borrower. That doubles the clock. Okay, they passed without doing anything. Brazen Borrower comes in here. And the Bowmasters mean that Kaito doesn't have to plus. The clock is still the same. Opponent's at 7. Just keep looking for useful cards. Abhorrent Oculus is not it. Graveyard, both of these. Barrowgoyf. That's among the best cards there are. All right, pass the turn. They got a lot of work to do here. Chrome Mox, 2 unknowns in hand. They get a random draw from 2 mana to overcome multiple routes to lethal, including 2 that they don't know about. We got the GGs. Chalice the Void on 1. You got me. All right, got ahead of the Stompy deck, kept them behind in the mud, which is what you need to do. Game 1 was really close. Game 2, we had a lot more going on. Yeah, here come all the useless cards out of the hand. Abhorrent Oculus on the board with showing up and meaningfully impacting the outcome of a game. On to the final round. We're on the upswing. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in the final round. A hand that I cannot keep. Mulligan. Oh, come on, deck. Well, Island Ponder. Gotta believe in something. I'm gonna bottom the Oculus and hope that this Ponder finds me a swamp. Oh no. I will shuffle that. There we go. Always had it. Thundering Falls tapped. My opponent, I recognize their name of playing various like Delver tempo strategies over the years. And Thoughtseize isn't really great versus those decks. Ooh. However, I'm on the play, and it's early enough that Thoughtseize could be good. I'll go for that Cheese Wasteland. Like I mentioned in the earlier match, I'm finding more and more that that seems to be worth doing in this format right now. All right, please don't have Stifle. Cool. Let's see what's going on over there. Hopefully I can take a Quarry Steelcutter and see a handful of nothing. Got a fetch. Volcanic Island. I Brainstorm to hide the goods. Daze 2 Murktides. Alright, opponent can play Murktide next turn no matter what, which means I should probably take Daze. Okay. Well, I'm not ready for Murktide. This could be one of those cheese games where it just happens like that. I've got Baleful Strix and Brazen Borrower in my deck. Okay, Quarry Steelcutter. Great. They played around Daze here, which I do not have. It just buys me more time to respect the Murktide, I guess. Thoughtseizing the second Murktide doesn't make sense. I have full information right now. I'm just going to Bowmaster in the upkeep. And by upkeep, I mean my own main phase. Before they can draw Daze and do anything about it. I think if I have 3 Fatal Pushes that all have Revolt, I should be allowed to kill a Murktide. Just add 2 of them together. Murktide is 5/5 here. Kaito could tempo it out if I find Kaito and the land. Yeah, I'm really in the market for a Brainstorm here. Basic Island. And if they have Lightning Bolt Murktide, they could even trigger Core Steel this turn. There's Murktide. Made it a 4/4, so they're saving the second one. All right, that's even better. That's a very real creature. We still have perfect info. That is not worth my trade. Come on, Brainstorm. Wasteland. I don't really like this Wasteland. I do kind of like this Fatal Push. I really hate Fatal Pushing Monk tokens, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. 1 unknown in their hand right now. If they have something like Lightning Bolt, Surveil to the Graveyard, oh god, every single card I said is just happening. Alright, well, I'm very dead here. We can play the other Murktide now, which also triggers Core Steel and triggers the first creature. This fell apart very quickly. Murktide Regent, and Murktide Regent is the card that we are not playing because we're playing Abhorrent Oculus. That's a tough sell here. Alright, they've got multiple 2/2s, a 1/1, and a 6/6. I don't think the 1/1 will attack here. I'm just going to have to push one of the 2/2s. And I couldn't really beat one Murktide, now there's 2 of them. Brainstorm? Oh my god. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm still dead. Though, I know their hand is Volcanic Island. I guess I can block the... I could trade with this one, go to 1. Right? Abhorrent Oculus. Hope my opponent does not have a good card on top of their deck. Oh, they can just equip Quarry Steelcutter the old-fashioned way and win. Because then it's a force block on the 6/6. Yeah, okay, never mind. I was dead on board. I showed them this card for no reason. Dothy Voidwalker is manifested. Ponder. Okay. If they can trigger the Corey Steelcutter, I lose. If they just equip Corey Steelcutter, I lose. I lose to everything. And they're still casting spells. Didn't shuffle Ponder. Alright, you got me. You got me. Murktide Regent. Okay, Shoulders Edict, Hydroblast coming in here, Brazen Borrower, Barrogoyf, Engineered Explosives. Hullbreacher costing 3 is really rough. Dying to Lightning Bolt, really rough. Even though if you snag a Brainstorm against them, they probably lose. They probably win any game where that doesn't specifically happen. Force of Wills all come out. Dazes all come out. We're just playing to the board here. -1 Spell Bomb. And there it is. These are my cards. In we go. A 1-lander with Bowmaster, Baleful Strix, Shoulders Edict, but 2 Oculi. These are so bad here. Okay, mana's my problem. I can play Delta, fetch, sewer. That's 2 looks. Brainstorm's another 3. Or, yeah. If I find my second land, I feel okay here. I am going to keep. If I just get cheesed out by Wasteland, and it has to be a combination of Wasteland and Run Bad, which I'm willing to attach to, because I have so many cards in my hand that are good right now. Ponder. I am, of course, hoping to just see the land here off the Surveil and not have to worry about Brainstorm. Because if they smell blood in the water and daze my Brainstorm, the game gets ugly. Brazen Borrower to the graveyard. Come on, deck. Alright, Ponder's better than Brainstorm here. Still bad if it gets dazed. Oh no, nothing. Shuffle that. Oh, come on, deck. Sometimes you look at 6 cards and don't see an 18-outer. Alright, now opponent knows I'm struggling. They have the full open here. If they weren't really willing to daze a Ponder last turn, they might be now. Yeah, you bobble me. You draw, I draw. Hey, a land. Is that actually good? I can play Nethergoyf around daze. Nethergoyf's pretty big. I'll take it. I'm on the board. I don't think wasting them is a good idea. Yep, you got the waste as well. Channeler. Not Delirious yet. There's the second creature, or second spell. In Nethergoyf 3/4. I am bigger than their board, but that won't last very long. Oh my god. We're so close. I think I just pass with this card in my hand. Slurping up all the tokens in the future is worth doing. Brainstorm. I love seeing 4 triggers go on the stack when my opponent casts a spell for 1 mana. Bobble to the graveyard. This Brainstorm will give them Delirium because instant is what they're missing, and it is itself one of those. Bobble. Now the monks are big enough to tangle with Nethergoyf. They just need one more spell, like a Brainstorm or Lightning Bolt in combat means they get to eat my Goyf for free with any of these monks. I'm so dead here. There is no way out of this. All right, I'm going to block the smallest one to give my Goyf a chance of surviving here, but I'm just dead to the other 12 damage. That could be lethal. Yep, GG. Okay, I mean, I looked at 6 cards, looking for any of 18 cards, and whiffed, but then kind of hit, but then they had found Wasteland in the interim. I don't think it's right to mulligan that hand, though obviously that is an outcome that can happen. All right, so real talk, Abhorrent Oculus was not good. And like we knew going in that Abhorrent Oculus is worse than Murktide Regent, like for all the reasons that Murktide Regent is played and Abhorrent Oculus is not. However, the cost of you have to exile it is so high versus Murktide, where you can manipulate how much is in your graveyard and stuff versus how many lands you have. The Oculus itself is just smaller than Murktide Regent in tempo mirrors. That came up in this last match. There's also the issue that I didn't talk about up front, but became apparent throughout the league of just adding mana to a bunch of stuff, which, I mean, this is a basic fundamental Magic thing, but instead of a bunch of 2-drops, we now have a bunch of 3-drops. And this 3-drop incentivized me to play this 3-drop. And suddenly, we've gone from 7 1-mana threats to 4 1-mana threats and 4 3-mana threats in a deck that's supposed to top out at Kaito. It's just kind of fundamentally not there. I think if I were to revisit this, if playing Abhorrent Oculus was important to me and I were to revisit this idea, I would not try to just piggyback the Dimir tempo shell. I think this has to be built as a mid-range deck intentionally, like from the ground up. I think we need 20 lands in a deck like this if we're trying to get to 3 mana and make the game last that long. I don't think Daze is good in this deck. We're just not applying pressure quick enough. By the time we have to Daze something, it's turn 3 and beyond. Like, I need 3 mana to cast this thing, plus the game has to go on long enough that there's 6 cards in my graveyard. It's probably realistically turn 4 or 5, and by then Daze isn't that good. I think Daze could become another land. Another Daze could become maybe another... I don't want to say another Thought Scour, because we still only have the one Reanimate. The strength of the modern build of Oculus is that it has Psychic Frog in it, which can dump Abhorrent Oculus for you to easily reanimate it whenever you want, plus Psychic Frog itself is a sick threat. In Legacy, things that could approximate that, something like Ledger Shredder, maybe, but obviously that card's much worse than Psychic Frog. But you could build this deck to have like 3 Ledger Shredders, 3 Unearths or Reanimates. Now your Oculus, you can cheese it more often. That deck would probably play more Thought Scour. But then every one of those cards I just listed, you have to cut a Legacy card to make room for. And every one of those cards I just listed makes the deck more susceptible to graveyard hate, which the format is already largely balanced around. Also noteworthy that our final record here, we beat the 2 off-meta decks, or the 2 kind of weirder decks, and we lost to 3 top 5 meta decks. Reanimator, Forge Combo, and Is It Delver. Like, those are just 3 of the top 5 decks in the format. And then we beat the other 2 random things. And that actually makes a lot of sense to me, because we are mostly a tier 1 deck built to beat other tier 1 decks, but we have made the deck less optimal on some fringes. And that results in losses to the other top decks, because our cards are just a little too clunky, and those matchups are close when our deck is built optimally. In conclusion, Jester's Cap, if you want to keep working on this, don't play Daze, play more lands, and probably over the 2 Dazes, 1 more land, 1 more Brazen Borrower. And depending on how important Abhorrent Oculus is to you, you could probably play 2 copies of that, so it comes up sometimes, but you're not stuck with 2 of them in your opening hand, like I was a couple times. You can fiddle with those slots as well. This was fun to work on, though, and I hope that someday Legacy slows down, that a deck like this is genuinely viable, a threat like Oculus genuinely viable again. We aren't quite there right now. Jester's Cap, thank you for asking me to do this. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.